Hi, I'm Rick Barron, your host, and welcome to That's Life, I Swear. A few episodes back, I spoke about Jose Andres. Many of my followers liked the story about Jose, a Spanish chef and founder of the World Central Kitchen Organization, a nonprofit devoted to providing meals in the wake of natural disasters. My followers are intrigued how he and his team faced the horrors of the Ukraine war to bring food to the hungry. I was asked if I could share other stories about people who have met similar hurdles, challenges, and in the end proved what the human spirit can do. Challenge accepted. Let's jump into this. While conducting my research to find another inspiring individual to talk about, much to my surprise, the answer came to me in the morning paper. When I saw the person's picture, it jogged my memory that I had seen this person before. Reading further in the newspaper, I was right. His name is Kenichi Horie. If there was an individual that demonstrates inspiration and an iron will to look at a challenge without blinking, he was it. On June 4th, 2022, Kenichi Horie became the oldest person to cross the Pacific Ocean solo. He sailed in his boat named the Mermaid 3, arriving in Japan 69 days after leaving his San Francisco yacht harbor. His vessel was about 2,200 pounds and about 19 feet long, made out of pale aluminum, customized to fit his build. He had to deal with a storm, but the weather gradually improved, and he reached Hawaii in mid-April ahead of schedule. This was a trip that was approximately 5,200 miles one way. Before he set off, Kenichi said his only fear about sailing solo, non-stop across the Pacific Ocean, was his age. My God, that was the only thing he feared. Amazing. At night, Kenichi would often pass the time by looking up at the sky and observing the millions of stars, which may have looked like someone had spilled sugar across a black canvas. I mean, what else are you going to do when you're in the middle of the Pacific Ocean? During his voyage, he maintained daily communications via a satellite phone with support staff, sharing weather conditions, updates on his food supplies, and anything else that might have been important to his staff to know. Now, did I mention he's 83 and that his trip across the Pacific Ocean wasn't his first rodeo? To look at Kenichi, he looks very unassuming, but beneath that exterior is an individual with a determined drive, high ambition, and an unwavering attitude to take his dreams and turn them into reality. Apparently, Kenichi had sailed the Pacific Ocean before, again solo, back in 1962 when he was just 23 years old. Only this time, he sailed from Japan to San Francisco. The name of his 19-foot boat was the Mermaid. During his journey, his food substance consisted of rice and canned food. Kenichi had the confidence that he would make it. For him, he just wanted to take on the challenge. Well, I guess if you're going to pick a challenge, it might as well be the Pacific Ocean. He sometimes felt anxious during the storms at sea, as he only had a radio on board, and back then, there was no GPS. Kenichi sailed through San Francisco's Golden Gate Bridge, unannounced in 1962, which took 94 days. Now, unfortunately, this journey didn't end too well, but it would have a happy ending. Kenichi entered the United States without any money, and more importantly, he had no passport. Even worse, he had left Japan not having any form of official clearance before setting sail. Guess when you're young and full of ambition, why worry about technicalities? No sooner did he land than he immediately was arrested. Fortunately, he was released by the then mayor of San Francisco, George Christopher, who later awarded him a key to the city for his bravery and a 30-day visa. Perhaps the mayor gave Kenichi some slack due to his rebellious youth and the guts to have made such a trip by himself. Now, I've sailed a few times with a crew and enjoyed being out in the water. I remember having the opportunity to sail in Sydney Harbor, Australia. While my nautical skills are very limited, I respect what it takes to master those skills of guiding a sailboat in a harbor at least. Sailing a boat in the Pacific Ocean? Well, that's another story. From the age of 23 to 83, Kenichi accomplished 2 challenges that many, including me, could never fathom doing. In both trips, he took a huge chance. Many expert yachtsmen have attempted similar fates, only to not finish, or sadly, lose their life as a result. The ocean is not kind and leaves very little room for error. In between Kenichi's first Pacific trip in 1962 and his second in 2022, he's kept busy polishing his nautical skills with very challenging trips. During the past 60 years, he completed several Pacific voyages, albeit in many unusual eco-minded vessels, including one powered by foot pedals and another made from recycled aluminum cans and propelled by dozens of solar panels. In 1969, he sailed from San Francisco to Japan in a catamaran built from welded-together beer kegs for a 2002 trip back across the ocean. He later swapped out the beer kegs for a hull made of whiskey barrels. Perhaps he thought changing from beer kegs to whiskey barrels would provide him better mileage. Who knows? As if this wasn't enough to prove his skills as a yachtsman, he also completed 3 circumnavigationals of the Earth, 3 of them, including a non-stop westbound solo voyage between 1973 and 1974. I would think that doing all of that, a trip across the Pacific Ocean, must have looked like a piece of cake. There is no do it the easy way in Kenichi's demeanor. Later on, he wrote a book called Cour, Sailing Across the Pacific, published in 1964. There is a paragraph that I found that defines why at the young age of 23, Kenichi defined why his visions weren't pipe dreams. Let me provide that paragraph for you, and I quote, "If you make up your mind to do something, and if you are determined to do it, there's only one way to go about it. Work out your own ideas, and on the general course you are going to follow, and stick to them. Stand on those basic ideas and assume responsibility for your actions. You yourself have to work out what you think is the best plan and carry it out to the end. You may make mistakes. There may be details in your plan that could have been improved upon relying on someone else's advice. But basically, it has to be your personal responsibility to conceive and carry out the project." End quote. So what can we learn from this story? What's the takeaway from what Kenichi accomplished? I think Kenichi said it best at a news conference when, upon completing his voyage from San Francisco to Japan, he said, "It was my great joy to have been able to make a challenge as a real goal and safely achieve it, instead of just holding on to it as a dream." I think we can all take a lesson from what Kenichi said. We all have dreams, but we have to be willing and wanting to challenge those fears that prevent us from making them happen. Look what he did at the age of 83. You see, everything we want is on the other side of fear. For Kenichi, there are no limits, nor should there be. I mean, this guy wants to be a challenger as long as he can, and said he wants to keep sailing until he's 100. I have no doubt Kenichi will do just that. I hope this time he remembers to have his passport and spending money on his next trip. Well, there you go. That's life, I swear. For further information regarding the material covered in this episode, please visit my website that you can find on either Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts, and there you can find show notes and the episode transcript. As always, thank you for listening. Be sure to subscribe here or wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss an episode. See you soon.